Our interest in this is very central to our decarbonisation journey. We transport almost twice as much energy as the electricity grid, and it's really essential that we are part of the decarbonisation journey. This is a state-owned asset owned by effectively the people of Ireland, because we're a semi-state body. So it's really important that we use that fully, but also it's got to recognise the fact that we need to decarbonise that. So our journey to decarbonisation is twofold. It is first of all with the use of biomethane, which is the more immediate and one that can give the biggest amount of renewable gas in the short term. The longer term play then will be hydrogen. And the reason that's going to take a little bit longer is there's a lot of developments in hydrogen at the moment to try and get the cost of producing that down. But biomethane is something that Ireland has so much capacity for. And I think that can really help industries and customers. It's essential for our society and our industry, not only in terms of decarbonising, but also in terms of security of supply. Because at the moment, the majority of our gas is brought across the interconnector from the UK and the European market. Last year, we offered contracts to a number of new parties to connect directly to our gas network to produce biomethane. Unfortunately, surprisingly, we saw a bit of a slowdown after the National Biomethane Strategy was published. And I think we've heard that this morning, that even though the strategy was published a year ago, there is a sense within the industry that there's not enough urgency in the implementation of that strategy. So I guess we're seeing, for example, delays in the RHO, and I think people might be looking at us as well in terms of, we had a number of actions in that strategy, which we have been actively working on with the regulator. We have kind of reviewed our policy in relation to financial security, economic tests, and one of the most critical ones, reverse grid compression. So we're working with the Commission for the Regulation of Utilities, because they oversee what we do and they have to approve our revised policies. So we're developing those policies currently with the regulator. We hope they will be published later on this year. 2030 is going to be a stretch target. I guess, I have to admit, if we look at this sector, even if we look at other sectors like the renewable wind or solar sectors, and we often publish targets for those as well, we generally miss them by a little bit in time. So I suspect in this case, the 2030 target now is going to be very challenging to meet. It is possible all the time, but we would need things to move a little faster, and probably we'd need something in the area of supports. Hopefully the renewable heat obligation will be published later this year, the heads of bill, and that will be increased confidence there. But I think we may miss the 2030, but probably a little bit later that we should hit the target, I would hope. But 2030 is really going to be stretching at the moment.